Let's be real. Difficult times always seem to be right around the corner. When times are difficult, it's easy to lose faith. But that is the exact thing we need to make it through. To have faith and see what is happening through God's eyes. To see difficulty the way God does. We need Bible verses for hard times we can hold on to. Here are some of my favorite biblical characters who trusted God in the midst of difficulty to inspire you. Number 1, Naomi and Ruth. Trusting God when you feel alone. In Ruth 1, verse 14 through 18 in the NIV, it reads, "At this they wept aloud again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. 'Look,' said Naomi, 'your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her.' But Ruth replied, 'Don't urge me to leave you or turn my back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me.' When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. Naomi's husband and both her sons died. She had nothing left except her 2 daughter-in-laws. In the midst of tragedy, she tried to push everyone else away. She stopped trusting God and wanted to sink further into her loneliness. I love the story of Naomi and Ruth because it was so hard for me to trust God when I first moved away from home. I felt really alone, I didn't really have friends, and all my best friends were back in my hometown, and I really missed my friends. I tried to push the people around me away, but they tried to get close to me and I wouldn't let them. And it's because I was afraid that they wouldn't like me and I was having a hard time with the transition. The story of Naomi and Ruth really helped me during this time, seeing that God is with me no matter what and that I'm not really alone if I'm close to Him. He put the right people around me to be close to me. Also, I'm able to have confidence when God is my ride or die. How is God trying to be a friend to you? Who has He put in your life to comfort and stick with you? Number 2, David trusting God when life is not how you pictured it. In 1 Samuel 22, verses 1 through 2 in the NLT, it says, "So David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. Soon his brothers and all his other relatives joined him there. Then others began coming, men who were in trouble or in debt or who were just discontented, until David was the captain of about 400 men. David was supposed to be the next king of Israel, chosen by God to lead his people. He was in line to be the most powerful person in their nation, but he was reduced to living out of caves and leading a bunch of guys who were in trouble or in debt or who were just discontented. David was probably looking at his situation and saying to myself, this is not how I pictured it when God told me I'd be king. This is totally how I feel about my life all the time. When I first started college, I was really convinced I'd be a nurse practitioner. I had it all planned out. I would be at community college for 1.5 years, in the nursing school, and take a year break to work, get experience, and then get my master's so that I could become a nurse practitioner. But then I worked as a certified nursing assistant for a year and I hated it. And then I failed the class and realized I was really miserable going after a career I didn't really want. So I went back to the community college and spent a year lost and confused, and I totally felt like God didn't care about me, or that I was just forgotten. It felt like God didn't care about my dreams, and I had to really pray in order to believe that God had a plan. And I had to really believe scriptures that promise God's plan for me. Are you still praying about where you want God to take you? Number 3, Esther, trusting God to act even when you're afraid. In Esther 4, verse 11 in the Voice, it says, "How am I supposed to see the king? It's known throughout the land, from the greatest of the king's officials to the common folk who live in the provinces, that any person who approaches the king in the inner chamber without being invited is sentenced to death." That's the law. There's only one exception, and that's if the king were to hold out the gold scepter to that person and spare his or her life. It's been 30 days since the king last summoned me. Esther was stuck. She was in a position of power as Queen of Persia, and she heard about a plot of genocide on her people, the Jews. She had the power to put a stop to this evil plan, but was afraid she'd be put to death by the king because she wasn't called to go before him. She was insecure about her future. If she took action, would she live or die? If she took no action, then her people would definitely die. Anyone stuck in that spot would be afraid. And I'm someone that's super insecure. I want everyone to like me, and I end up not speaking up or saying things because of that insecurity. My response to leading is literally the same as Esther's, and I definitely try to hide and not make any waves because I want to be liked rather than to stand out. I can be afraid that people won't like me or that I'm wrong, or I can come up with excuses like I'm too young and I don't know what I'm doing, or I'll compare myself and feel inadequate to the people around me. In Esther 4 verse 14 in the voice it reads, "If you stay silent during this time, deliverance for the Jews will come from somewhere. But you, my child, and all your father's family will die. And who knows, perhaps you have been made queen for such a time as this." I've always loved the Esther 4 verse 14 part of the scripture because it shows how things aren't always coincidences with God and that God chooses me to speak up in certain situations. What fears hold you back from taking action? So when times are difficult, try to have faith and see what God is doing. See difficulty the way God does. Hopefully these Bible verses for hard times are ones you can hold on to. Take some time to reflect on the questions today and chat with a friend later. How is God trying to be a friend to you? Who has He put in your life to comfort and stick with you? Are you still praying about where you want God to take you? And what fears are holding you back from taking action? Please like the video and subscribe to Deep Spirituality YouTube channel. For more video devotionals, check out our channel and website, deepspirituality.com. Bye!